Welcome back to the Upper Tier Podcast, the football podcast we bring you each and every week on the Dynamo Podcast Network. Head over to YouTube, smash that subscribe and bell notification button. Also available on Anchor if you prefer the audio versions of our shows. You'll get it over there, Spotify, Podbean, or wherever you pick up your audio shows. And joining me tonight from Cheap Heat Production Podcast, no less my main man down in Kilkenny, Maurice Shorthall. Maurice, how we doing, my man?
I'm doing great down here in rural Ireland.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And tell us this, who's coming up on the podcast soon? Who can we expect?
Oh,
There's a Hardy Books feel about it anyway, that's for sure.
There's a few Hardy books coming up. I think I'm going to try and get as many as I can from that catalogue and then focus on a few independent wrestlers. I have a fella coming up this week called Tombstone Jesus. Very interesting guy.
Very interesting name.
Bits and pieces I'm trying to wrap up, and then you know yourself, like it's hard to kind of set a date with people sometimes. So there'll be plenty of videos coming up. I'm just not sure what will be coming up when, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, I mean, like ourselves, you're smashing the content out there every week anyway, that's for sure.
Well, with the pubs closed, Niall, we've ample opportunity, and there'll be plenty of time to celebrate all these podcasts when the pubs do open.
Absolutely.
We can see each other in person.
Home pubbing at the moment.
Yeah.
Well, actually, joining me tonight then, we're going to do a quick Arsenal versus Liverpool preview coming up this Saturday. Massive game for both teams in terms of the race for European places and potentially top four, if things go right for both teams.
I think we're out with that.
Yeah, not necessarily a good hunting ground for either of us when we come back off an international break either. Fingers crossed that all the players come back injury free and stuff like that. So yeah, I suppose where do we begin with this? I mean, Arsenal kind of much better form than us in the last 6 games. You have 3 wins, 2 draws, 1 loss. We've 2 wins and 4 losses. And people don't need to be reminded where those losses were, but they were at Anfield. So thank God this week we're away. Happy enough for Liverpool to go to the Emirates. Interesting kind of a record at the Emirates we have. Seems to be a reasonably good hunting ground. Not necessarily in recent times, but prior to that, it's been a reasonable hunting ground for us to go. But definitely your own Arsenal there, your beloved Arsenal, are showing a bit of form. But I suppose before we get into the podcast, we'd like to have a quick chat about obviously Claude, who passed away there the other day from Arsenal Fan TV fame, and obviously a stalwart of football podcasting, really, the man, who we'll never forget in terms of it's time to go. Sadly passed away the other day. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I think if you look back towards when Arsenal Fan TV blew up, and you have the likes of Robbie and Troops, DT, Lee Gunner, whoever else appeared on it, like, you'd have to say that he was definitely a cornerstone for it. And I don't think me and you might even be sitting here today having our own podcast if it wasn't for people like Claude. So it's very sad. And I think it's taken back like a lot of the community. I think it was nice to see Arsenal acknowledge it as well on Twitter, I thought, which was really nice, because Claude obviously was very outspoken, but at the end of the day, he loved Arsenal. Whether he be saying bad things about them, whether he be saying good things about them, he loved Arsenal, he loved football. So it was nice for them to acknowledge him. And obviously, we don't quite know what the circumstances are, but a lot of the talk around it is like that he got an awful lot of abuse online, which is a very current thing at the moment, with obviously you see Thierry Henry taking himself off social media as well this week. So it's a big thing. And I think that, it's been said on Sky Sports a lot, and I think a lot more needs to be done on it. But I think it's going to be very hard to regulate. But like, what kind of people go onto these platforms to abuse people and their families? Like, I just don't fucking get it at all.
These people tend to be people that have very empty lives and live very lonely lives and get off on people's misery. But we always say one day those people have to meet their maker at the gates, and that's when things will get squared up. You know what I mean? So, we're here at the moment. We're thinking about Claude's family and his extended family on YouTube. All the football creators out there. I mean, the outpouring yesterday was unbelievable in terms of the sadness that it brought. And you know, even thinking about Toy, I mean, Toy was so close. I mean, they did so much stuff together. So we're thinking about Toy as well at this difficult time, and Claude's family. You know what I mean? It's terrible. I tell you, for me, the only reason I got into football podcasting, apart from the pandemic and not having much to do in terms of work, you know, I was a big fan of, you know, Arsenal Fan TV and the United Stand and all these different channels, you know, and the banter was fantastic between DT and Truce. But Claude was one of those, you know, I wouldn't say one of those old timers, but he was one of those old school lads, and his passion just came true for his love of the club. And I know there's a petition out there at the moment to get it recognised before the game as well. On Saturday, and I hope Arsenal go that far, because this is a man, he absolutely loved Arsenal 100%. And going back yesterday, looking at some of the old videos, not even just the Time to Go one, but all the other videos of like how happy he was when Arsenal were being successful and when they were winning games in the very early days of Arsenal Fan TV. You know, he just, you know, even listening to Robbie yesterday talking on the video he made and stuff like that, how hard it was for him, you know, and saying that, you know, Claude was telling him he just missed going to football matches. Obviously, going to the matches and taking part in some of the social channels and stuff was obviously his out that kept him, you know, kept him well and stuff like that, you know. So obviously, you know, what can we say about it? There's not a whole lot we can say about it. It's tragic. We've definitely lost a good one. And sure, look, you know, we'll try and move on as best we can. And as I said, our hearts go out to his family. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family members at this time, and obviously his extended family out on YouTube and all the people that he collaborated and worked with and created stuff. And there's no doubt that his videos on YouTube will stay in the memory of everyone for a long, long time. So I suppose with that said, let's move on and let's preview this game as only Claude would want us to. You know, this was always a big game for him as well. So let's get through it. What are you thinking in terms of lineup for Arsenal?
It depends on the way people, I suppose, come back from the international break, as you said. But I would imagine that it would be Leno, and I would say it could be Cedric or Callum Chambers. I think Bellerin is done now with Arsenal. I think you expect to see him be moved on to Barcelona or PSG this summer. Yeah. So I think it'd be Chambers or Cedric, who have both put in decent shifts, I've said, since he came into the team. And then I would say that we'll probably see David Luiz in the team, because he seems to stick with him, I think, for experience more than anything. Problem is, he's got a mistake in him. You'll probably see Gabriel then alongside him. Kieran Tierney, I'm sure, will be left back. Middle of the park, then you're talking Thomas Partey, Granit Xhaka. And then I would say Smith Rowe, Pepe on the right, Aubameyang on the left, and Lacazette up top is what I would think the team would be, but you'd never know.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, you have to play Odegaard, don't you? I mean,
yeah,
he has to be in there somewhere. You know what I mean? I mean,
I don't know about him. I'm still a little bit unsure. You know, I just think that some of these guys, we seen it when Ceballos came in on loan from Madrid last season. He was pretty decent. He was playing for. It seemed like he was playing for a contract anyway. He didn't end up getting it. He got another loan. But I think we need to keep our feet on the ground, I think, with Odegaard. I think we need to see now, between now and the end of the season, last 10, 12 games, whatever we have left.
Yeah.
Just to see. I don't know. He's kind of hampering Smith Rowe's development, I think, because he takes him out of the team and then he gets dropped in. And I think Smith Rowe was progressing nicely without Odegaard.
Yeah, the only thing I was thinking in terms of Odegaard is I was thinking he might be more inclined to be a better choice to go up against the likes of Fabinho.
Yeah.
Who I would assume was going to sit in front of the back four. So that's why I was thinking Odegaard as opposed to Smith Rowe, although Smith Rowe has come into the team and played really, really well.
Yeah.
I think for us, our team kind of picks itself, assuming there's no injuries. I mean, it's Kabak Phillips in the middle there at the back. Robinson.
Very good player.
Yeah. Phillips especially, he's really, really grown into the role and very very mature considering the experience that he has had, you know. I'd imagine Fabinho will sit just in front of them, and then you'll probably have Gini and Thiago in the middle of the park, and then out wide Mane and Salah, and then Jota up the middle, I would imagine. I know Firmino's back in training, But I think with the form that Jota's even shown over the international break, I think you have to play Jota, don't you?
Yeah, I was gonna mention that actually. He's come back strong from that injury, and he scored a couple of goals, I think, for the other night, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he has 3 altogether over the 2 games. He scored 2 against Serbia and he scored 1 again the other night, but he's just one of those players, like he's Mr. Consistent, really, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're never getting any less than an 8 or 9 out of 10 out of him most matches, you know what I mean? So I think he's in there. For me, there might be an option for the bench, who knows, depending on how the match pans out. But I think Jota definitely is
has to
the
start.
first names on the sheet without a shadow of a doubt. Where do you see the key battles in this one? I mean, in terms of where you're breaking it down, as I said, Odegaard Fabinho to me sounds like a tantalising battle, you know, 2 full-on lads, you know.
Yeah, I'd be worried about Odegaard or Smith Rowe's physicality up against a player like him.
Yeah.
Then again, I think obviously when you're looking at Arsenal and the way they play out from the back and stuff like that, you're always going to say the defense can make a mistake easily, you know. We've seen so many mistakes this year from playing out from the back. So I think Arsenal are going to have to be on their game, because like a player like Jota in form will definitely punish them.
Yeah, I'm thinking as well, Salah will probably pair up against Tierney. And that's going to be an interesting battle as well, because Tierney, like he's a speed merchant as well, you know what I mean? So he's not slow, you know what I mean? So
he's dogged as well.
Yeah, so he could do a real good job of neutralising Salah potentially, you know. I was thinking as well, Thiago and Xhaka, you know, two hot-blooded midfielders, you know what I mean? There's bound to be cards in that, isn't there?
Yeah, I think there'll be cards. I don't think it's not traditionally a dirty game though. I can't remember too much flashpoints over the years, but yeah, when you have players like that, maybe just nicking little fouls here and there could build up to something, you know?
Yeah, I think it's one of those games that really requires a strong referee.
Yeah.
To see that it's a strong battle there in the middle of the park, you know what I mean? And, you know, let them at it. You know what I mean? Don't be too quick to start flashing cards around. These guys want to have a go off each other. This is normally a proper contest between 2 good clubs, you know what I mean?
Interesting time of game as well, 7:45 Saturday night.
Yeah, it's and I tell you now, I'm kind of enjoying the timing of the games.
Yeah.
You know, and especially like when you think of the games that are on Saturday, they could have easily like pushed us to one of the earlier games, and they could have picked the likes of the Leicester game or the City game or whatever and put them up into the 7:45 game, you know. But they picked us for the 7:45 game, so they reckon it's going to be a proper ball game, you know.
Yeah, I'm going to have a few drinks watching it anyway, so that's my Saturday night planned.
Yeah, I suppose. What are we doing there? Are we talking Aubameyang up against Trent?
Yeah, I think so. But then again, he might not play Aubameyang or Lacazette, and he could put Saka in there if he's going to be fit. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, what did you make of that the whole episode there where he was late for the game and dropping Aubameyang and stuff like that? How did you feel about that?
Well, if they had lost the game, he would have been in serious shit over it. But because they won the game, you have to look at it and say it was the right decision.
Yeah. It's amazing with Arteta when he makes those decisions. They do tend to work out for him. He's rarely getting caught out on them, you know, because I tell you, the fan base and everyone else would have went well in on him over that, you know. And to see Aubameyang sitting there like a spoiled kid being punished and all, you know, looks really, really bad. I'm interested in go ahead.
I don't think it was the first time it happened, so I think that was the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm thinking Nat Phillips versus Lacazette. That's gonna be a real interesting one there because Phillips,
2 physical players.
Yeah, but you've got the Lacazette's a powerhouse as well. You know what he doesn't necessarily have in size, he makes up for. You know, like he's in that kind of Shaqiri vein in terms of strength and size. Yeah. You know what I mean? You don't easily get him off the ball, but then in terms of balls coming in, I think Phillips will win every one of those. I mean, in terms of height and stuff like that, you know.
He's brilliant in the air. I think he's been a very underrated player.
Yeah, I think it's, you know what it is? There's been so much problems in defense that's not necessarily the defense's fault. It's just been a knock-on effect of midfielders and chopping and changing and all that kind of stuff. We actually have a settled middle two now, and we have Fabinho back in his natural position. And now we're starting to see the fruits of that again because that's how we play.
Yeah.
I'm also interested. David Luiz versus Jota. That's going to be tantalizing. I mean, El David Luiz, he's going to have to be very careful in that area. Jota's kind of he's a tricky customer for these naturally dodgy kind of defenders, you know.
I would say that I was going to say maybe he won't play him, but he will because he wasn't playing international break. He's been there training away fresh. Same with Lacazette. Doesn't get a call up for France. So there's a couple of guys there that are actually fresh. So I would expect Luiz to start as well.
Yeah.
He always has an error in him.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to have a problem picking him though, does he? I mean, he does pick him on a regular basis, like, you know what I mean? So
he must see some kind of leadership from him around the training, around something like that.
Well, I mean,
has to be.
Yeah, but I mean, I suppose through character, I mean, he has a personality and a presence. And there is a kind of, although he is capable of that moment of madness, let's say, there is a kind of an aura around David Luiz, if you like. He does carry that even still to this day, you know. But
he's won everything.
Yeah, but it's a huge game, really, isn't it? Because I mean, if you guys are pushing for a Europa, and if we still believe that outside of our position in the Champions League, that we're still a chance of a top four. I mean, both teams have to go for the win, don't they? Without a shadow of a doubt. Like a draw here means nothing.
A draw is no good to anyone in this game. Absolutely not. I was to go back to the point you made about putting the defenders putting the midfielders into defence for most of the season. If you find last year when Man City had a terrible year that Rodri and Fernandinho were pushed into their back four. Now this season, the exact same thing has happened for Liverpool, and look at the result.
Yeah, we've mentioned it on the podcast before, even when we were doing previous previews, that like both seasons are nearly a mirror image of each other in terms of how things have panned out. But yeah, it's a tantalising fixture to have, and especially at that sort of quarter day kickoff on a Saturday. It's perfect for the viewership as well, you know. How would you say it panning out? Is this going to be a chess game or is this going to be end to end?
I'd like to think that there could be a few goals in it. If it's anything like that League Cup game a few years ago, the 5-5 will be doing okay.
Yeah,
but I don't know. It's really hard to call because I would edge Liverpool in this game over Arsenal. I think they're playing better away from home. I think there's less pressure even without the crowds. I think they're under less pressure away from home just because that Anfield record is kind of hanging over them now. They're going to put it right fairly soon, but at the moment it's probably a good game for them to play away. I would lean towards Liverpool maybe 2-1, but I'd say it'd be close. I can't see a steamroll.
I was thinking Liverpool 3-2 because I think there will be goals in it. But I think without a doubt, I think Arsenal, if they were to lose or draw, I think they still have a chance of clinching Europa League somehow. But if Liverpool draw or lose, I think top four is definitely gone. And the last thing we need is Europa League football. We won't have
that's what I was going to.
That at all.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say to you as well. Like, I don't want to be in the Europa League. I'd rather finish fucking 8th or 10th than go into that again. It's such a poor competition. Really is like.
Well, I suppose we're assuming that, you know, by the time it rolls around again next season, the fans will be back in the stadium, that revenues will be up again. I mean, naturally, if we were still on lockdown and still in a COVID situation, you know, I think European football's important in terms of some sort of finance coming into the club because they really only have TV broadcasting rights revenue. You know what I mean? What else is coming into the club are some merchandise and stuff, but match day revenue is huge for them, you know. So I mean that kind of, you know, we've broken it down and we've summed it up. There's not a huge more we can say except that, like, I suppose the other thing that might affect it that we didn't mention is the fact that there's European ties coming up the following week. Then, you know, we're going off to face Real Madrid, and you know, you guys as well have your game as well. So there's still big games there. I mean, your Europa League potentially could be your pathway back into the Champions League. Likewise, our Champions League, with the way the draw panned out, and I'm not saying Real Madrid, we're not looking beyond them by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, I fancy Liverpool over Madrid though. I think it's a good draw for you. I think it's a better draw than, say, someone like Porto.
Yeah, I think over 2 legs, you know, and you know, we owe them one. There's no doubt about it. We owe them one for that final. And you would imagine Salah will be well up for that, that battle with Ramos again. He definitely owes Ramos one, there's no doubt about it. And then God knows, once you get into the next round, we could be facing Chelsea, you know what I mean? But they're not going to be looking past Porto either, you know what I mean? And then the top end of the draw, worked out perfect for ourselves and Chelsea, so there could be a pathway there through to the final, and then it's a spin of a roulette wheel, really,
Anyone can win a final. A lot of people are saying that Arsenal and Man United will meet in the Europa final. I can't see it. I don't think one of them will make it. I think it might be us. I don't know yet.
Yeah, well, I think United are facing into that Ajax Roma toy. That's a big toy there too. I wouldn't be looking beyond those two teams either. You know what I mean? They're serious teams. But listen, go ahead, go on.
No, I was just going to say, if we do win the next round, we'll come up probably against Unai Emery and Villarreal, which would be interesting as well.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? The way, it's just crazy the way all these things end up matching out the way they do. When you think of it being an open draw, what's the chances of it happening? You know what I mean? And Villarreal, I tell you, they're playing some decent football as well. They're scoring for fun as well,
Listen, if Emery had won the Europa League final, he'd still be the manager of Arsenal, 100%.
You think so, yeah?
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
Interesting. Big shout. Big shout, The fans still wouldn't be happy, though. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah. But as always, a pleasure having you on. And
you too.
We'll roll into the weekend. No doubt we'll come back to this again. But fantastic toy. And look, we'll put it out there for Claude, who passed away. Hopefully it'll be a great game. And hopefully at the game they do mark his passing. And as always, head over to YouTube, smash that subscribe and bell notification button. Also, head over to Cheapy Productions podcast as well. And make sure you're dropping a like, a share, and a subscribe on that as well. As always, support Irish podcasting as much as you can. And we will talk to you again real soon. Thank you.